Ho, ho, ho. I'm Lee Rowley, and if your marketing copy needs help, then I'm here to pull your chestnuts out of the fire. This is Copy That Speaks. Why force yourself to outshout the competition just to get your brand noticed?
You don't have to anymore. Welcome to Copy That Speaks.
Hey, you know what, Lee? I gotta tell you, whenever we get together, I have too much fun with all the yucking it up and carrying on beforehand. That I'm like, oh, wait a minute, we only got a minute left to go, and we got to do this and that. So let's get this all dialed in.
All right.
So how are you, sir, this evening?
I am having a fantastic day. How about yourself?
You know what? I'm having a fantastic day as well.
Good.
And I've been looking forward to this all day long. So thank you very much for coming and hanging out. And what is this now? Our fourth episode of Copy That Speaks. Very excited about it.
We made it all the way to episode 4.
Yes, we did.
Yep.
So what's on your mind today? What have you been kind of kicking around? Last week we talked about I think it was your LinkedIn war that you were in the middle of.
Yeah, I'm over that.
You're over that?
I'm
Okay,
over
good.
it.
All right,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. It's not worth worrying about.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's good to rant every once in a while, though.
Yeah, so let's talk about pulling someone's chestnuts out of the fire. So what do you think about I teased you earlier in All Natural Being and just said, look, here's your chance to work with a world-renowned, which you are, right? A world-renowned copywriter, to have your stuff be the focus of your mind for a whole 20, 30 minutes, thereabouts. So I thought that was pretty cool. So give me an idea. Your fourth show in. What are you thinking?
We're just going to have a lot of fun with this. I'm really excited about our guest tonight. And one other thing that I'm working on, I feel like it's my mission and my passion to make this show as fantastic as possible. So one of the things that I'm going to be working on over the next several weeks is making my communication clearer and better, because that way I can help make it more effective for the people listening. So I am starting Project Filter the Filler. I recognize that I use a lot of filler words, despite having spent 4 years in Toastmasters. I use a lot of filler words, so I'm just going to be mindful of that and try to reduce that over the next several weeks so that I can be more effective at what I do.
That's really interesting, as a matter of fact. Do you find that to be something that a lot of people do? Do they find that filler just makes it easier for them? Like if they could just throw everything up against the wall, that's what'll work? Is that what you found?
Generally, when people use filler language, and I've found that this is definitely true with me, it's that your mouth is moving faster than your brain, and your brain is just developed a habit to insert those words just to buy a little bit of time until it can catch up.
Okay, I should mention quickly, if I can, that Candace says roasting chestnuts, LOL, gives you a peace sign. Nellie Corriveau, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Hi,
Nellie
Nellie.
Corriveau. Lee is amazing. I will definitely like that. Ted Atoka. Atoka says, hello, Lee. Well, hello back. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. I don't know, Lee, we have this little thing that we do where if you get a share during something, we hit a prayer bowl. So you'll have to come up with that little thing that you go, oh, every time someone gives a share, you've already got 4 of them. Every time someone gives a share, what's that little thing that you're going to do? So that's something to think about.
I can juggle fake fruit. I don't know.
That's a great idea. How many pieces of fruit can you actually juggle? Why?
And not even well, but
look,
I'm willing to do it for you, though.
That's why I take like cough medicine before you come, because I think I have bronchitis, right? One of the parting gifts they gave me in the hospital last week was bronchitis. Well, I think I got bronchitis so that when you start, I laugh. I just can't breathe again. So.
Oh, okay. Wow.
All right. So this evening, we're very excited. I know that you're excited about having a guest call in, and we'll be introducing her here in just a little bit. But I'm fascinated by this concept of filler. And I think people think, oh, when you write, and maybe it's because, Ogilvy, some of the other people that wrote copy,
Sure.
and they wrote pages and pages. Or what's that one guy, Gary Halpern.
Albert.
Yeah, Halbert? Halbert would write long, flowing copy.
Oh, yeah.
Do you find that a lot of people today go, oh, that's what I want to model. I want to do that very same thing. And is that why filler just seems to be everywhere in copy?
In some niches, it's still pretty persistent. People wanting to do these 4,000, 8,000 word sales pages that nobody's reading. So,
that no one's reading.
Yeah.
And that, I would imagine, but when you think about it, Lee, I would imagine that if no one's reading it, it can also be detrimental copy. It's just like, it's not just that no one's reading it, it's that they're reading it being turned off
Right.
and turning the page or going to a different venue.
Right.
All right, Lee, we have our caller for this evening. Good
Fantastic.
evening. Thank you for calling Copy That Speaks. Who do we have?
This is Alicia St. Germain with The Conscious Edge.
Alicia, how are you? Very nice to meet you.
I'm super excited to be here. I get to get in the fire here and have an expert do some dissecting. So that's exciting and terrifying at the same time.
Well, don't be terrified, my friend. The only thing is that when you're here, like if you ever get a chance to be here in the studio, he just keeps me laughing. So I'll forget to hit a button. I'll forget to do this and do that because I'm just cracking up watching his facial mannerisms and everything else. But Alicia, thank you so very much. Alicia St. Germain is with us from The Conscious Edge. And then you know what I think, Lee? Why don't you give, if you would, please, give Alicia an idea of what she can expect this evening, what you're looking for. And then I'll just be a little fly on the wall. I'll just stay out of it so you two can get right to it.
Oh, okay. Well, Alicia, we've talked a little bit, but what I'd like for you to do is tell us a little bit about your business and your journey to where you are now.
Oh, great.
And the webinar you're working on, because if I remember right, we're going to be working on a new title for your webinar, right?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
great. I can't wait.
Yeah, super excited. So, well, a little bit of my journey, I actually have worked with entrepreneurs for a long time, but when I actually found I had my kids, and then all of a sudden my life was just not fitting in, and I wasn't having enough free time to be able to really raise them the way I wanted to, and so things kind of started to fall apart. And so I had to reinvent myself completely, and one of the things that really has inspired me is that everybody out there has this higher purpose or this calling, and whatever it is, whether it's being a mom or it is being an entrepreneur like me. I happen to love working with entrepreneurs because it's just been in my blood. It's kind of what my family has always done. But it really comes from, the Conscious Edge really comes from a place of being very intentional and aware of how you're spending your time, what you're focusing on, and really making sure that it's drilled down to the three most important things, which is you, as a mom, we oftentimes overlook ourselves and our physical needs, but our bodies are our tool to do great things in the world. And then the people we love, and then ultimately our higher calling or our mission. So the Conscious Edge is really about creating that clarity and living with intention so that you can master and do that thing that you do, that gift you bring to the world really, really well, and just lead like a total rock star.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit about where this webinar fits into all that.
Where the webinar, okay, so in serving people, you have to build a connection with people. And so there's a lot of, and you and I talked about this, there's a lot of like plug and play, this is your funnel to get people to you, this is, put your information here, and everything looks so generic. And so I really wanted to create something that would create a shift for an entrepreneur that is struggling to scale their business or struggling to create space to actually be in their business because they don't want to sacrifice what makes entrepreneurship so great, and that's the freedom to live our life on our terms and be able to have a whole lot of fun doing it.
Okay.
So this is about creating a transformation in people even before they've made the decision to whether or not they want to do business with me as their coach. It's really about creating that transformation for them, to have them leave and have an experience that means something to them, changes their life, And then it's easier for people to make a decision to do business with you when they have a little taste of who you are.
Okay. Okay. So then somebody's going to choose you based on... Go ahead, please.
No, so basically what happens is people come to the webinar to learn how to create the space and time to focus on the three most important things, which is you, the people you love, and your calling. And then from there, they actually fill out an application to get into one of the Conscious Edge intensive, which is a 3-month coaching program to create shifts based on some of the insights that they learn off the webinar.
Awesome. Okay. So that we can drill down as specifically as possible, when you think about the people who would really benefit the most from the webinar and then on into the programs, what do you, we talk a lot here about 3 a.m. moments, which is, you know, specifically what somebody's thinking when they sit up in bed and at 3 a.m. and realize that just their life isn't where they want it to be. You know, I just to give you an idea, I had somebody tell me one time that people's problems were that they couldn't prioritize their paradigm. And I was just kind of like, okay, I don't think anybody really bolts up in bed at 3 in the morning and goes, gosh, I wish I could prioritize my paradigm. You know, instead it's probably something really more specific, like, you know, what is it that they would feel like they're missing?
So I think a couple things.
Okay.
First of all, a lot of times, you know, you're looking at somebody who's a one-on-one coach. You can only take on so many clients. So they get limited or locked in to an income level because they can't take on one more client. They oftentimes feel like they're in a scarcity mindset where they're like chasing and taking every client they possibly can, not necessarily the client that's the perfect fit. And so they haven't created boundaries in their life where they actually get to put the things that are most important to them first. And so they're just chasing down any client. They're not real clear on who they want to serve. They're working, you know, at the wrong times of their day, and they resent it. And it becomes this like thing where entrepreneurship does not have to be, or becoming a coach or a trainer, somebody who empowers other people to change their lives, does not have to be limiting like that. But a lot of times there's a lot of people who get locked into, they can't move past one-on-one coaching,
Okay.
and they can't figure out how to run it. Does that make sense?
Sure, absolutely, absolutely. To the point where they can't get past the hours for dollars part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
it's about scaling, but it's about scaling for more than just money. It's about scaling for time freedom. It's about scaling for lifestyle freedom. It's about scaling to be able to spend as much of your life doing the things that you really want, which should include you running your business, right? I mean, after all, if you don't love your business, then, you know, why are you doing it, right?
Right, and that's where your calling comes in. That's when you feel total fulfillment, is that it doesn't feel like work when you're on your calling.
Right. Okay.
Well, Lee, if I could interrupt for a second, Alicia, I got to tell you that when I look at the graphic card that we have up for you, and I'm hoping that's you, this brilliant smile that I'm seeing, it's easy to see that you are dialed in, right? That this is a passion of yours, and that you have the balance of those three things that you talked about. It's I have to tell you, standing here at the monitor, it's just great to see your smile. And I'm picturing you talking as I see that smile. So it's clear that you're congruent. It's clear that you believe what you say. And have you found that working with clients, they kind of warm up to you because you seem so passionate about what it is that what you do and what you offer in the webinars?
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, we just launched this webinar. This is why we're working on this, and I kind of put this out on the table because it's just a brand new webinar that we put together. And people were saying, I did not expect to be so connected to you in this format.
Oh, cool.
Which was such a great compliment.
Very cool. Well, like I said, I just know your smile from a graphic card and hearing your voice, and I could see why people would feel that sense of connection. So good for you. It's nice. It's nice to meet someone that's genuine in not only what they believe but what they do. So it's a pleasure to meet you.
100%. Thank you. It's a pleasure to meet you as well.
All right, Brother Lee, what do we got going on?
Lee's working on something for
Lee's
the moment. So
Okay.
yeah, so.
Oh, okay, great. We'll keep
carry on for just
carry
a moment.
on for another
In other words, I'm stalling. All right.
Just stalling. That's okay. I like
we
it.
don't have the magic. We don't have through the magic of television. Ta-da!
Right.
We have
Ta-da.
to, like,
Right.
do a little song and dance.
Right. Don't. Why would Lisa? Why would you do that to me? You say song and dance, he'll get up and cut the rug right
Yeah.
now. You'll see.
It'll be way out of tune, but it'll be an effort.
But
That's
it'll
all
be
I can-
good.
Yeah.
So, Elisa, I got to tell you that talk to me a little bit as Lee's working his magic. Talk to me about the initial concept of balancing being a mom, of all these other things that you have, mixing it into the pot, if you will. What was the first realization like where you're like, yeah, this is my gig, but I'm also a mom. I also have my own passions. Did it just dawn on you at once, or did you kind of build into this understanding?
Well, I actually always loved the entrepreneurship side, and I actually waited to have children a little later in life. And anybody who's had children a little later in life tells you it's in some ways it's shocking because you're so used to doing things your way, and then all of a sudden these little people come into your life, and it changes things. And I did a complete reinvention because I'm sitting at my computer, I'm working late at night, and I'm actually training online. And I hear my daughter screaming at the top of her lungs upstairs, and my husband is trying everything he can to comfort her. And I didn't want to be where I was.
Gotcha.
I wanted to be with her. And this was happening over and over again. Every time I'd work at night, she's upstairs screaming. And so there was something off in the energy in our
Sure.
home. And something had to change because I didn't want to be anymore where I was. And that was the moment I was like, this is not what I signed up for. Let's make a change.
And Lisa, just a little bit of a personal note. Just last night, my 2-year-old daughter was crying, and I said to my wife that it just breaks my heart to think that she's dreaming about anything negative. Right? You're a 2-year-old. You fall asleep. How can you be? So I know exactly how you feel. And I'm just like, what can she be thinking about that could cause her any kind of pain, let alone a cry out? So, what is it, the line from the movie? Alicia, you had me at hello. I absolutely know what you're thinking. And especially being a little bit older, I think maybe it rocks me a little more when I hear that. So I can imagine that was a dilemma for you.
Definitely. And it's like having to walk away from what looks good on paper and a successful career and what everybody says you should be grateful for, and then just saying, you know what, that's what you think, but you know what, I'm going to go do what I know is right for me. And that was like empowering to have that realization and go do that.
And then, Lisa, if I could ask you, as I'm watching over to Lee for the big reveal, do you find that most people give you a little bit of pushback where they go, yeah, that sounds good for you, you've figured it out, but it's impossible for me? Or do you find them, my friend, very receptive about how this could work out specifically for them in their lives?
Well, I think what happens is the people who want to believe that it's possible are completely drawn to me or to anybody like me. And the people who are not going to be receptive to it will actually be annoyed by it, but it doesn't mean that it's not making a change for them. It doesn't mean it's not causing a shift for them or making them think twice. It breaks my heart to see somebody who doesn't believe that in their potential. That's one of my gifts,
Sure.
is to see people's potential beyond what their
Right.
own limiting beliefs will allow them to see. But when we become so strong in what we believe, it really will repel the wrong people, and the right people will fall into you.
And I would say, that's so interesting. We were talking about that earlier, Alicia, that even if they're, quote, the wrong people, you still give them permission for it to be right for them. Your webinar is just wrong for them, but that gives them the ability to find out what will be right for them. So in a way, it's a win-win to everyone. Have you found that to be the case?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's part of what I work with my leaders is to say, look, you have to be so strong in your leadership that you don't care what other people think and that you can see that you're still serving them just by being you.
Fantastic. And I think that's important because it gives them permission to one day go, look, I want the conscious edge, right? I want to figure this out. And it like you give them permission to stand right in to what you've already pulled off. All right, I see Lee. So I think he's ready to go. So let's throw over to Lee. What are you working on over there, brother? I see your hands moving around and you're busy at it. What do you got for us?
Very cool. Well, I take it you haven't been spying on me on Noggin Cam, or do we have?
I have, but when I saw some of the I wasn't sure if you were trying to fly away or what you were doing when you were. So I just went ahead and switched.
I like this board, but like I have to use baby wipes. To wipe the thing off, and
no
then
charge.
Like now it's white. Yeah, I know, right?
No charge. They're right there. Use as many as you want.
Well, so I got to take a little bit for them to drive. So, Alicia, I love what you're doing. I actually watched the first version of the webinar. I know you said you're going to kind of make some refinements to make this more oriented toward coaches, or at least that was the direction you were headed when you talked. So I like to do webinar names and course names in kind of a two-part name. The first part, short, punchy, curiosity-driven. And memorable. And then the tagline, or the second part of it, is the longer part that actually explains what it is they're going to get. Okay. So my first shot at this, and I haven't figured out how to do this yet. So
the big reveal.
Yeah, the big reveal. So I would say we start with, and can you see that on the screen, Brian?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I think it's looking good.
I like calling it Reclaiming You. 3 simple shifts to create a life and business you can love again. Now, what we usually do with that is you I love that, or I like this part, I don't like it, or it completely stinks, let's try again, So I usually like to use these as a starting point. So what are your initial thoughts? Even if you can tell me it stinks, it's okay.
No, it's not. No, I think it's like it's such a different way of thinking, and I love the challenge of just like letting it roll around in my head.
Yeah.
Reclaiming you is so interesting because I hadn't thought of that at all.
Okay.
But that's what I did. I totally reclaimed myself.
There you go. And that's why I love listening to the stories, and as I had Brian kind of pick up, so that I could just listen for a little bit and pick out those these emotional cues, those things that maybe we're too close to. And I get in that with my courses and my things that I put out there too. Is sometimes I get too emotionally close to it, and can't quite come up with the right wording to convey what I want to convey.
But as someone just listening in, the conscious edge could very well be the individual that is reclaimed, right? This whole concept of reclaiming you.
Okay.
That's what gives it. When I first heard it, I was like, wow, that's what gives you the conscious edge. Is that whole, I don't want to say metaphysical, but you know what I'm saying, Alicia, that whole thing where you go, right? That you're reclaiming you. That's what gives you the conscious edge. What say you, my friend?
Oh my gosh, I got goosebumps.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, so Lee, what do we do now? Because we're just so you know, we've got about 6 minutes left.
Okay.
And I want to hear a little bit more about how people can get, if it's cool with you, sir, I want to hear a little more about how people can get in touch with Alicia St. Germain. And obviously we have the graphic Conscious Edge.
Yes.
But a little more between the two of you as to how she should take it or what she may want to think about from here. I guess what I'm asking is do another reveal. What do you got on that big board of yours?
Well, the rest of it's just notes.
Notes. Okay, cool.
It's the big thing. And if Alicia, if you want to work on the tagline after it, if that's not quite where you want it, then we can do that later. The limited amount we can do in the span of 20 minutes, obviously. But we just kind of wanted to get you thinking in a different direction, which obviously it seems like we succeeded with this because you seem to resonate a little bit with Reclaiming You. Okay.
For sure.
Well, look at her
absolutely.
smile in the graphic. Talk about reclaiming you. You could tell. You could see it in her eyes. She's. I can't imagine people seeing this graphic and going, "Oh, she doesn't look very happy to
Right,
me."
right.
This isn't. I don't think this is the coach for me.
Right.
Oh my God! Are you kidding me? Reclaiming you is the Conscious Edge. So,
Awesome.
if you would, Alicia, give us a little bit about how people can get in contact with you. Obviously theconsciousedge.com. But is there anything else you'd like our listeners to know?
Well, actually, if they go to theconsciousedge.com, there is a workshop on the Conscious Edge that will actually take people through a 4-step process that we use to get to the core of what might be getting in the way of people reaching their greatest goals.
Oh.
Okay.
So even if you're somebody who's just like, there's always that one thing, especially coming into like a new year, you make this resolution and by January, February, it's gone. So there's actually a workshop right on there that'll take you through revealing what's in the subconscious. What do you have to reclaim? What do you have to be aware of?
I love that.
So that you can make that resolution last the whole year long. So I'd really encourage people to go sign up for that workshop. It's right there on the front page in the middle.
Okay, so theconsciousedge.com, they'll be able to go there, get all the information, sign up. That sounds like, and especially, Alicia, as you said, with everything coming with New Year's resolutions. What a great time to develop the Conscious Edge. With everyone and their brother and sister, don't want to mansplain, everyone running around unconscious. Oh, you got to just look in the media, look at social media, look at out on the street, everyone's running around unconscious. What a great time of year to develop the Conscious Edge. A great time of year for reclaiming you. Lee, what say you?
I totally agree. And I would like nothing better than to have people actually follow through on their New Year's resolutions and actually make the change that they were passionate about making on December 31st.
And if I could, Alicia, I'm going to offer you this. You know that by January 20, maybe 19th or 20th or 21st, they say like 85% of people that set a New Year's resolution have already abandoned it. They don't even make it 3 weeks into the month of January. But my sense is, in listening to you and learning about you, that they abandon it maybe because they don't have the Conscious Edge. Maybe, right?
Exactly.
Right? Maybe they're picking something that isn't about them. They're picking something that won't bring their smile to the surface like yours is. Maybe that's why all these people are abandoning their goals, because they don't have the Conscious Edge. So I wish you all the luck in the world. I think it's absolutely brilliant what you're doing. And just as another human being, I'm thrilled that you're dialed in and loving what you do.
Thank you. I appreciate your time so much, and wasn't nearly as painful as I thought it was going to be.
Well, please tell all your friends that it was terribly painful. It was just, don't let anyone know that it was easy. We can't have that happening. Elisa St. Germain, thank you so very much. We'll let you get to your family. Thank you so very much for joining us. It really was a pleasure meeting you on the phone, and I hope to meet you in person one day.
Absolutely. You as well.
Thank
Have
you so
a great
much.
night.
Thanks, Alicia.
All right, so Lee, I got to tell you, I'm just enamored. I think she's a really cool person, and I love the reclaiming you.
Thank you.
It was brilliant, brother. Because that's how you get the Conscious Edge. So as we get ready to wrap up, my friend, we only have 90 seconds left.
No,
I'd love
okay.
the viewers to know how they can get a hold of you. We have these Sales Copy Academy. We know LeeRowley.com.
Right.
Give me a 1-minute thumbnail before we go to the closing music as to how people can get a hold of you.
Okay. Well, if you're interested in writing copy all by yourself, with my help, I put together some training called Sales Copy Academy. If you're interested in having copy done for your business, but you'd like for it to be in your voice, which is what I love doing, then I do collaborative coaching. I don't have any spots left for this month, but I do have 3 left for January. So you can go to LeeRowley.com and you can sign up for my coaching package there.
All right, so brother, we're getting ready to get out of here. Have an absolute. Now, we should ask, or I should ask you: do you want to hang out next Thursday? Should we go ahead and say, "Oh, great, let's do another one," which will be episode 5?
Okay.
You want to do that next Thursday?
I'm down.
I'm good with it if you are.
All right.
All right, let's do it. All right, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Again, if you want to get a hold of Mr. Lee Rowley, or you could also leave a comment here in the thread. Thank you so very very much for joining us this evening for Copy That Speaks. Have an absolutely fantastic holiday, however you decide to celebrate.
Happy holidays, everybody. Well, thanks for the golden frankincense there, but don't worry so much about the myrrh next time.